The logo of the National Park Service with a background. Words say, it's the 104th anniversary of the National Park Service. Text reads, we asked some of the staff at George Washington Carver National Monument what makes the National Park Service special. A female uniformed park ranger sits at a desk in a school setting.
My name is Valerie Golden. I'm a park guide at George Washington Carver National Monument.
A series of images in a slideshow as Valerie is speaking. In order, the village of Hopewell Furnace National Historic Site, the Fort of San Juan National Historical Park, the reconstructed fort at Fort Necessity National Battlefield, Ranger Valerie in 18th century clothing standing in front of an old house at Valley Forge National Historical Park, Jefferson Rock at Harpers Ferry National Historical Park, a nighttime shot of Fort Scott National Historic Site with lit lanterns, and a cabin and fortification at Petersburg National Battlefield.
Telling the story of our country through everything, through ups and downs, through parts of history that you may never have learned in your history book, but are still connected through the National Park Service. So it's a way to, it really gives just a wonderful place that just gives you an opportunity to learn about so many wonderful things. It is a great way to tell the story of our country, so many different parts of our country and so many different stories, and really helps us know where we've been, where we're going, and where to be. And it's just does a great job of that.
A different female uniformed park ranger sits at a desk in a school setting.
My name is Sarah Martin, and I'm a park guide here at George Washington Carver National Monument.
A series of images in a slideshow as Sarah is speaking. In order, Ranger Sarah smiling with Fort Sumter in the background, the flowing and green entrance to the Earth Lodge Mound at Ocmulgee Mounds National Historical Park, two-story Elkhorn Tavern at Pea Ridge National Military Park, the yellow and green Lincoln Home National Historic Site, Ranger Sarah smiling in a black and white image with the words Fort Sumter National Monument behind her, the wooden chairs in the McLean Parlor at Appomattox Courthouse National Historical Park, the brick exterior of Monroe Elementary School at Brown v. Board of Education National Historic Site, the Rust Green Mortar and Visitor Center at Yorktown Battlefield at Colonial National Historical Park, a blue painted cannon and monument at Horseshoe Bend National Military Park, Ranger Sarah giving a tour to 4 students at New Bedford Wheeling National Historical Park, the cream-colored Ray House at Wilson's Creek National Battlefield, the Oaks, the large brick home of Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee Institute National Historic Site.
I think that is a very hard question to answer. You can't really pin it down. But what I think the National Park Service has to offer and why there's such great places, special places to visit, are because they're so diverse and so different. And we as a people in the United States are so diverse and different too. When we started out with the National Park Service, it was interesting. We would mostly male rangers. They would feed bears, and people would sit on bleachers and watch. And most of them had background in nature and natural resources. As it progressed, it was forest and land management. But it's evolved so much. From our start over 104 years ago, we really truly have changed. And I think as we have evolved as a society, our national parks are committed to evolving too. So you have rangers who are of all different backgrounds, walks of life. I'm a sociologist by trade. You wouldn't think I'd be working here. Some people are historians. Some people are computer experts. The cool thing about the national parks is our rangers are just as unique as that history. And there's a national park for everyone. So depending on what you like and what you're passionate about, I guarantee there's a park that fits that.
A series of images in a slideshow as Sarah is speaking. In order, Ranger Sarah assisting students with an art craft in a brick room, a cream-colored jail wagon in exterior to Fort Smith National Historic Site, stone and white trim officers duplex at Fort Larned National Historic Site, a spot-lit Mount Rushmore at dusk.
Within these parks, there are people who care so much and are willing to bring history alive in a unique and fun way and connect you to the resource. And so when you visit a national park, you automatically feel like you're walking into a family gathering. It's comforting, it's enlightening, and a lot of times it changes your perspective about the world.
A male uniformed park ranger sits in a laboratory.
My name is Ryan O'Connell, and I'm a park guide at George Washington Carver National Monument.
A series of images in a slideshow as Ryan is speaking. In order, the Pulpit Rock Formation at Zion National Park, the flagpole and white trim missile imitating Visitor Center at Minuteman Missile National Historic Site, salt flats at Badwater Basin in Death Valley National Park at dusk, the brick John Brown's Fort at Harpers Ferry National Historical Park, the patriotically decorated presidential box at Ford's Theater, the white and expansive Pennsylvania Monument at Gettysburg National Military Park, a lookout tower and palm tree at Castillo de San Marcos National Monument, the plow mortarboard shaped Heritage Center at Homestead National Monument of America, Ranger Ryan dressed in a white uniform sitting on a bench at Fort Scott National Historic Site, dilapidated tents and a tall wooden wall with lookout towers at Andersonville National Historic Site, two men standing on either side of a black statue of General Jackson at Manassas National Battlefield Park. Statue text reads, "There stands Jackson like a stone wall." A family standing behind a sign that reads General Sherman with the large red General Sherman tree behind them. A sweeping view of the River Bend overlook and shelter at Theodore Roosevelt National Park.
They're special because they are set apart, and we as a people have entrusted it to our federal government to be able to protect these places and be able to say that the creeping crawl of capitalism will not take root here. This won't be a strip mall. This won't be a housing development. This won't be any number of things. And I think those places are good, but let's not pave over what's important. Let's not pave over nature. Let's not pave over significant places. And so being able to put these places and protect them and allow people to come in and see and explore and have someone come and tell them about why these places are significant, what makes these places unique is also very different. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like doing what I do, is because I have this passion for history, and I get to talk to other people who are passionate about it as well. Well, I think the Rangers are instrumental in connecting people to their sites because we say that when a person is an interpreter or is an interpretive ranger, we are translating our resource, the things that we have, the history that we have, the buildings, the trees, the rocks, the fish, and we're making those things accessible to those people that don't necessarily understand that. And so we interpret and translate what they're seeing and what they're experiencing into something that makes sense and is meaningful to them.
A male uniformed park ranger sits outside near a statue of George Washington Carver.
I'm Jim Haney. I'm the park superintendent at George Washington Carver National Monument.
A series of images in a slideshow as Jim is speaking. In order, little flags placed in the ground at intervals at Fort Scott National Historic Site, with a brightly colored soldier guarding a brick building. Burnside's Bridge at Antietam National Battlefield. Grave sites of Cesar and Helen Chavez, and decorations at Cesar Chavez National Monument. People hiking near a large rock formation and Joshua trees at Joshua Tree National Park. A child looking up at Devil's Tower National Monument. A yellow sunflower with an insect on it, with a garden and an earth lodge in the background at Knife River National Historic Site. Staff image at George Washington Carver. Park rangers, volunteers, and administration with the 2016 National Park Service logo and Find Your Park logo. A P-51 Mustang fighter airplane hangs from the ceiling at Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site. A portrait of Jim Heaney. The ivory-colored bust of George Washington Carver at George Washington Carver National Monument. Statue of Abraham and Tad Lincoln at Tredegar Ironworks at Richmond Battlefield Park. Text reads, "To bind up the nation's wounds." Park rangers and volunteers at New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park.
What makes the National Park Service special? It's very American. I mean, we are America. The beauty of the landscape, the unique and precious natural resources, our very unusual history, which is, as time goes on throughout the history of the Park Service, is constantly being examined and re-examined and reinterpreted, and they're all just so unique and so compelling in their own way. Areas of natural beauty which really reflect the American character, like the Grand Canyon or Yosemite or some of our national seashores. Powerful stories like Carver's, but also many of the civil rights sites like Selma to Montgomery, or the new Birmingham civil rights site in Birmingham, Alabama. Stonewall, very powerful civil rights story there. Or to learn about incredible people like Carver, like Lincoln, like Ulysses S. Grant. Just so many reasons to visit a park, depending on, again, your interests and passions.
This year is the 104th anniversary of the National Park Service Organic Act, and what we want to say is just thank you so much for being committed to these special places. We hope that you come and visit us, and if you aren't local, maybe you'll take a trip out. Our goal is that you connect with them just as much as we do, and hopefully our passion can become your passion too.
It's amazing to see something this special last for as long as it has, and has really brought a way to help keep our future generations from forgetting where we've been and where we've come from, and to always remember our stories that made us who we are, the good and the bad. It's part of who we are. It's part of our journey.
It's not a banner year, but it's still significant. 104 is still pretty impressive to me.
I think it's wonderful how we have survived, and I think it's wonderful how we've evolved from just a handful of parks, mainly out west, to a very broad and vast and diverse system. And I think it's amazing how the Park Service keeps relevant. They strive to connect with present and future generations. It's just a fantastic organization with a very, very strong, sincere, and far-reaching mission. And I like being a part of it. When I retire, I still hope to be a part of it. So.
text reads, "For our 104th anniversary, we hope you take the time to explore your local national parks. From all the park staff at George Washington Carver National Monument, thanks for watching." Text reads, findyourpark.com.